I was always like looking for fulfillment inside of work when I knew I didn't want to be there forever. And when I learned about law of attraction, I then was able to really like be clear on what I wanted and start to take action towards it and then manage my thoughts at work. And that changed everything. Like I became unattached from work. And then that is when I already had my food blog, but that's when I started to post on TikTok. And I really just like let it be fun. Welcome to the Chingona Revolution podcast, where we will bring out your inner badass Latina, overcome self-doubt, help you gain clarity, and pave your own path, all while leading with courage. I am your host, Latina coach and speaker, Erika Cruz. Hello. Welcome back to Chingona Revolution podcast. I'm very excited and a little bit nervous about this podcast episode because I've actually made an attempt to record this podcast episode when I had just launched the podcast. And it was such a massive and big topic that I ended up pausing the recording and doing something else. And today I want to talk to you about a law, a tool, a philosophy that has really helped me create a life, a business, just overall my environment that I absolutely love. And that is the law of attraction. So you may have heard of the law of attraction. Maybe you have not heard of the law of attraction. There is a really popular documentary and book called The Secret that talks about the law of attraction. The people I follow are Jerry and Esther Hicks. I looked them up like on YouTube. I've read some of their books. And from the moment that I was introduced to law of attraction, my life completely changed. And I will say that I've gone through kind of cycles in my life where I've fallen off and not been very intentional with using it. And I feel like I'm in one of those pivotal moments when I haven't been using it and I'm getting ready to start using it again. And I'm already seeing so many different results. And I feel as if everybody in the world should know about the law of attraction. And that is why I want to talk to you about it today. But before we get into the actual law and I tell you pretty much like how it worked in my life and how you can apply it to your life, I wanted to remind you that next week we are hosting a completely free webinar called How to Be Magnetic, Attract Opportunities, Clients, and Community, aka followers, without hustling. It is happening on April 16th at 5 o'clock Pacific time. It is free to register. You can register by going to the link down below in the show notes. And in this webinar, you're going to learn how to attract opportunities, the clients, as I mentioned, but I'm really going to teach you my 4-step magnetic framework, which, spoiler alert, is kind of really based on law of attraction, which is exactly what we're talking about in today's episode. And inside of my mastermind is where I really do get to help women entrepreneurs leverage the law of attraction to be the most magnetic version of themselves and create a life and a business that they absolutely love. So if this sounds like something that is appealing to you, make sure that you join us for the webinar, because right after the webinar, the doors for Magnetic Mastermind will open and spots are limited. We are also, for the first time ever, doing a live event in Santa Monica, California. It's going to be a 2-day event, May 25th, where it will be kind of like a party and gathering with the majority of my clients, not just the mastermind. And then the mastermind is staying for the 26th, one additional day. And that is when we are doing our mastermind live event. So you'll get to mingle with me, with other people that are in the mastermind. You're going to get special coaching from me, like direct coaching from me. We're also really going to bring in a lot of the manifestation tools and really make it feel like a retreat where you not only leave with business strategy, but you also feel in alignment with yourself and with the spirit of your business and really connected to your intuition and more fulfillment in your soul. Because in my experience, that is the most impactful business, like when it's coming from a very intentional place rather than this transactional place. So make sure that you join us for the webinar, because the doors for Magnetic Mastermind are going to open on the 16th, and then they will close on April 30th. But we do have a special 48-hour bonus for the individuals that sign up or book a call with me within the 48 hour window. It's going to be this little bonus period. So don't miss out. Mark your calendars. Join us for the webinar. I can't wait to see you there. And let's get into today's juicy podcast episode. Okay, how in the world did I even come across law of attraction? I was probably 26 years old, and I was talking to somebody that I used to work with and was kind of a mentor. And he recommended this book. And I started reading it, and I probably got through the first chapter. And the book is Ask and It Is Given. I probably got through like the first chapter, and I was like, this is some BS. I don't even know what I'm reading right now. And I closed the book. I didn't really pay much attention to it. And at this moment in my life, I was not really meditating. I wasn't very into spirituality. I wasn't very connected to myself. I was working in the tech industry. I was very much in hustle culture, very much about like, let me work my way up the corporate ladder. So even though this had been introduced to me, I rejected it. And it wasn't until a few months later when I decided to revisit the book, but this time I got it in the audiobook version. And I have always loved hiking, and I did a lot of hiking when I lived in Silicon Valley. So while I was on a hike, I started listening to this book. And this book talked about channeling like people from another dimension. And I was like, okay, this is just losing me, but let me just ignore that part and actually hear the content. And when I started to hear the content, it just was speaking to me on such a deep level that I kept listening. And I was still weirded out by the whole channeling thing because I wasn't very into spirituality. So even if you're not into this, I think even if you're not into spirituality, there's still so much to be learned from this. And if you are one of my existing clients, then we follow something called the self-coaching model. And the self-coaching model is kind of based on the law of attraction. So you're already kind of practicing this, but what I want to do is tell you a little bit more about this law and what it is. So the law of attraction is a law. It's something that's happening whether you're intentional with it or not. It's kind of like gravity, right? You could choose to not believe in gravity, but if you hold out a cup and drop it, it's going to fall to the ground because gravity just exists. And that's the same thing with the law of attraction. So we've all heard, oh, that person's good vibes, right? When we are hearing like, oh, good vibes or bad vibes, we're essentially talking about what the law of attraction means by vibration. So whenever you are high vibe or you are in this place, in this point of attraction where you are going to attract similar things to you that are usually good. And whenever you are feeling really low vibe, you're also going to attract things that are of that same vibration, which can be low. So let me give you examples of what I mean by like high and low. Have you ever had a day when, like, let's say, okay, right now that I'm recording this, it's currently Mercury retrograde. So let's say it's Mercury retrograde, or let's say like you hardly got sleep. It's just starting off as like not a good day, right? Like you spilt your coffee on yourself. You go out to your car, the dang battery is dead. You have to get yourself to work. There's a ton of traffic. You get to work and you realize there's more projects put on your plate. And it's just one of those days where like the bad keeps getting worse and worse. And you are feeling and reacting to that crappiness, right? You're like, oh my gosh, today's just a horrible day. I can't wait for it to be over. And you are feeling very negative. So the vibe, the emotions that you're feeling, the sensations that you feel are more of frustration. You are feeling really annoyed, really irritated. And then more of these negative things begin to happen. And I know you're all thinking like, oh, yep, that's definitely happened to me. I know it's happened to me many, many times. Now I want you to think about a situation or a day in which you were feeling very, very positive and this is going to be high vibe. So you were really high vibe and things just started to work out for you. Like you meet up with friends to like go out for brunch, and then you pull up to the brunch spot and you find a super easy parking spot. And then once you get there, the waitress hooks it up with like an extra, like, I don't know, pancake dish or like a free mimosa. And like things just keep getting better and better and better, right? And we are feeling this tremendous amount of gratitude, and you're just attracting more abundance and more beauty and more positivity into your life. But it's because you are radiating that. And that's what the law of attraction says. What you are putting out is what you're going to receive. Have you ever been around somebody who's just like always a negative Nancy, or just like always in a bad mood. And then they like wonder why, they keep getting cut off or why somebody flipped them off, where it's like, okay, it's easier to see in other people, right? Where you're like, oh, I saw that coming. I already knew that guy being a jerk to everybody was going to be told off by this lady in the grocery store. So it's so much easier to see it in other people than in ourselves. But a great way of knowing where you are on that vibrational scale, if you're high vibe or low vibe, is based on your feeling. So in any given time, ask yourself, how am I feeling? So now here's what happens whenever we are beginning to learn about law of attraction. We start to fear any negative emotion, right? We're like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling sad and I'm going to attract more sadness, or I'm feeling angry and I'm going to attract more anger. And then because we know of the power of our thoughts and the power of our feelings, we then try to control it and only try to be positive at all times. But here's another thing that the law of attraction says, and this is specifically from the book Ask and It Is Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. So they talk about when conflict occurs in life, we tend to feel a lot of resistance. We feel like we just want to hurry up and flow, and we don't want this resistance in our lives. So when conflict occurs, what's actually happening is we are learning more about what we don't want. And when we learn about what we don't want, we're learning about what we do want. And in the law of attraction, when we ask for what we want, it's going to be given to us, assuming that we can match the vibration of it. Stick with me, because I know that if you've never heard of vibrations, this is probably just so weird. But I'm going to give you examples and then it'll make sense. But let's say that conflict occurs in your life. All you're trying to do is avoid conflict at all costs, whether this is in your business or in your life. But conflict tells us more about what we don't want, right? Whenever conflict occurs, like let's say you get in an argument with your partner, you're like, okay, well, I know I don't want to be in that argument again. But based on every time we learn about what we don't want, there's also the other side of it, that we know what we do want. So now it's our responsibility to look at this conflict and say, okay, this is unfortunate. This is something that's happening that I don't really like, but let me take the lessons and let me take what I do want from it and start to manifest from there and start to create my life from there. So what the law of attraction says is, don't focus on what you don't want, focus on what you do want. And whenever you are feeling negative emotion, usually this negative emotion is bringing forward your shadow. And this shadow is usually teaching you something, right? Remember, we don't learn. I talked about this in when I talked about the failure challenge I do with my clients. We don't learn from winning. We learn from failing. So anytime we experience conflict in our life, it's essentially a lesson for us to take information from, so that then we can apply it to our lives. Just imagine if you never ever in your life failed at anything. Like, what kind of person would you be? You would not be a good character of person. You wouldn't have much character. You wouldn't have resiliency. Like, you would not be the person that you are today. So instead of resisting negative emotion, instead of resisting conflict, use conflict as, how can you look at conflict from a detached place and saying like, okay, just got into this argument with my partner. This is like what I don't want. But what I do want is to have harmony with my partner. And this is what I've learned has worked. So let's start focusing on that. That's what the law of attraction is asking you to do. So let's go with another example. Let's say you applied for a job and you didn't get the job, and that's causing conflict. Well, what did you learn? You learned that you do want a job, but maybe that wasn't the job for you. And a big part, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I think it's important for that example. A big part of law of attraction is trusting that things are going to work out in the right time and the right opportunities are going to work for you. So a big part of law of attraction is not being stuck on a person or a job or a client. It's knowing that there's an abundance out there and that the right ones are always going to work out for you. So let's say another example. Let's say that you're a business owner and you have a consult call and maybe somebody decides that they don't want to work with you. Let's say that you're a service-based entrepreneur, like maybe a coach like I am. And then you have a consult call with somebody about possibly joining your program or working with you one-on-one. Or maybe you're like a operations person, right? And they have a consult call with you and then they decide to not work with you. So you can either go the low vibrational route and say, damn, like, why am I even doing this? I should just give up. Or F that person. They weren't even like a good client. They weren't even going to be a good client. You can go that route. And that is the low vibrational route. But the high vibrational route would be looking at the situation and saying, this person felt like an ideal client and they said no. So yeah, of course, I want to work with them, or I do want to have a client. Because remember, conflict is teaching you more about what you don't want, which is teaching you more about what you do want. So what I don't want is to keep getting no's on consults. What I do want is to work with more people. So what could I have missed here? Like, what lesson is there for me to learn? What did I not say to this person to make them feel like I was the right person to support them in whatever journey I'm helping them through? Do you see how different those things are? Like, one of them almost takes this perspective, one of them almost takes the position of like, this is happening to me, while the other one is taking the position of, this is happening for me. So the low vibrational one is essentially feeling attacked, while the high vibrational is feeling a little bit more empowered, even if they didn't get what they wanted. And that doesn't mean you're not allowed to be sad about it. Yeah, maybe you go cry about it, but we don't stay there. The law of attraction tells you to not stay in the low vibrational states. It tells you to take the lessons that come from the low vibrational state so that you can move up to the high vibrational state, which is where we manifest. And then whenever we inevitably, right, because what goes up must come down, we're inevitably going to come down to a low vibrational state. In other words, something's going to happen in our lives that's maybe going to make us feel like something's going to happen in our lives that's not going to feel great for us. And it's going to make us feel sad or maybe angry, but take the lessons from that and try to get back up to a more positive state. So a big way of doing this within the law of attraction is by practicing gratitude. Jerry and Esther Hicks, the people who wrote this book, have an exercise in the book called the Rampage of Appreciation. And whenever I am just feeling in the mud, I will start a rampage of appreciation and pretty much just stating all of the things that you appreciate. So I'm going to do it with you right now. So I've had a little bit of a stressful day, but I have been really thinking about law of attraction. So I feel like I'm okay, but I'm still going to take myself through a rampage of appreciation. In other words, practice gratitude, y'all. That's it. But at the moment, I am grateful for my abled body, and I was able to go to kickboxing this morning. I feel a lot of gratitude for having food in my fridge and having a nutritious meal. I am currently staring at the avocado tree that is outside of my window that has been with me since I lived in Silicon Valley and has pretty much watched me grow this business. Oh my gosh, I've never made that connection before. But as this tree is just right in front of me, I'm like, damn, this little avocado tree has literally witnessed everything. I am super grateful for my dog, Paloma, who is the most cuddly, sweet, cute little dog and always is happy to see me. I have so much gratitude for this spring season when a lot of things are growing and blooming. And as I'm looking out of my window, I can see just so much abundance within the trees and the leaves. And there's also a lemon tree, a sweet lemon tree, una lima, outside, and I could literally walk over there and open one of those and eat it if I wanted. I am extremely grateful for you as a listener listening to this podcast, because this podcast wouldn't be what it is without you. I am grateful for all of the opportunities that have come into my inbox this week. I am super grateful for a team member. I asked her if we could take a break from her services, but she's played such a fundamental role in the business. And she took it so well when I asked us to just take a break because I need to work on different things in the business. I'm grateful for technology that connects us and allows me to record this podcast episode from my childhood room, and it's delivered to you anywhere in the world that you are. I am grateful for my community. I'm grateful for the ability to travel. I'm grateful for my friends who I'm going to see tomorrow because I'm going to be traveling to DC tomorrow. I'm grateful for my clients that have made my business possible, because without my clients, this would not be a business. I'm grateful for every single person who has shared a podcast episode that's resonated with them, because then we are also just impacting more people. I am really grateful for my courage, and I'm grateful for the risks that I've taken to get to where I am. And I'm so grateful for that mentor who introduced me to the law of attraction, because we wouldn't be here having this podcast episode right now. All right. So, I could have gone on and on and on. And that is what a rampage of appreciation is. So whenever you're really feeling in low vibe, you just don't think about that thing anymore. You actually begin to just try to feel better. If this podcast resonates with you, I invite you to my free webinar, How to Be Magnetic. You'll learn how to attract opportunities, clients, and community without the hustle. This free webinar is happening on Tuesday, April 16th at 5 o'clock Pacific, and you are going to learn all about my 4-step magnetic framework to attract opportunities, clients, and community. You're going to learn how to go from hustling to attracting using feminine energy. You'll learn how to make decisions for your business by listening to your intuition instead of following what everyone else is doing and saying on social media. You're also going to learn why you are so worthy of your wildest dreams and why when these dreams come true, everybody benefits. This is for you if you are a female entrepreneur who's been really in her masculine / hustly energy and you really want to embody your feminine / magnetic energy. This is for you if you want to attract ideal clients and opportunities without having to slide into people's DMs or sound or feel salesy. And this is for you if you don't have a problem taking action, but you are just taking so much action to see what works and you just want to be intentional with your action because you don't have all the time in the world to do all of the different things. If you said yes to any of this, then join us on Tuesday, April 16th at 5 o'clock Pacific. This webinar is brought to you by Magnetic Mastermind. Magnetic Mastermind is a spiritual business mastermind for women entrepreneurs who want to double their demand by becoming magnetic. After the webinar, the doors for Magnetic Mastermind will open and there will be a 48-hour bonus for webinar attendees. This round of Magnetic Mastermind not only has a completely revised curriculum, but we also have an in-person kickoff event happening on May 25th and 26th in Santa Monica, California. So not only do you get to work with me for 6 months, and there's so many amazing bonuses that I don't want you to miss out on, but we also kick it off with an in-person event where you get to meet your mastermind sisters, you get to hang out with me, and we really just get to set the tone for the next 6 months. Make sure that you register for the webinar. That is when we are going to open doors for Magnetic Mastermind. To register, go down below to the show notes where you'll find the link, or you can go to the Erika Cruz, that's Erika with a K.com /webinar. I will see you then and enjoy the rest of the episode. The next step. And again, if you're one of my clients, this is why the self-coaching model is so important. This is why I always bring it back up. And for those of you who don't know what the self-coaching model is, it is something created by Brooke Castillo, who's the founder of the Life Coach School. And it's just a really easy template to follow that allows you to identify how you're currently thinking about a situation. And then it allows you to change the way you're thinking about it. So a circumstance occurs and it's just neutral. Oh my gosh, a little hummingbird is right outside my window. But a circumstance is neutral and it's our thoughts about it that can make it negative or positive. And if we get to choose those thoughts, this is what law of attraction says, right? If we get to choose those thoughts, we get to be intentional with what we choose. We can think, let's say a neutral circumstance occurs. Let's say that you posted something on Instagram and it got 10 likes. And your unintentional thought about it then becomes, nobody cares. And you make it negative, right? You're like, oh, why even try? Nobody even cares. Like, I hardly got any likes. And then that makes you feel defeated, which makes you act in a way where you don't want to post anymore. And then the result, if you stop posting, is you never grow, right? People actually don't care. So like your thoughts are always going to create your reality. The way you're thinking about things is always going to create your reality because the way you think about things influences how you feel about them. And the way that we feel influences how we act. And obviously our actions equal results, right? So this is why the self-coaching model is so great. But I'm just giving you a more holistic look at the law of attraction. Now let's look at that same circumstance. Let's say that you posted on Instagram and you got 10 likes. Your thought about it can be like, damn, 10 people took time out of their day to like my post. See, same circumstance, but you're just choosing a more productive thought. So then if you're choosing that thought, like, oh my gosh, 10 people took time out of their day to like my post, then your feeling is going to be excitement and motivation. And then what kind of actions do you take from that? Well, you're probably going to want to post more, right? You're going to want to share more. You're going to maybe want to engage with the people who already liked your post. And the result is that you're going to keep growing because you're showing up and you're engaging and you're enthusiastic about it. And I don't mean to say that we need to be enthusiastic 100% of the time. This is why I talked about like the difference between high vibe and low vibe and how it's important for us to be in those low vibrational states, because that's where we learn a lot of lessons. The part about being in a low vibrational state that isn't helpful is if you're not choosing to learn the lessons, if you're just like sitting there feeling sorry for yourself. And I also want to be mindful of trauma, right? Like trauma is a real thing, especially in our community, but you're not at fault for the trauma that you've encountered, but you are responsible for the healing component. And so with the law of attraction, it is really empowering you to take back your narrative, to take back the story that you're telling yourself, to rewrite the story you're telling yourself, to, yes, accept and acknowledge the things that have happened in the past that maybe aren't fair, but also to be really intentional with what we're doing now. We can't control like what others do or what exactly happens, but we can control how we react to what happens. We can control how we react to other people. And that is where your power stands with the law of attraction. I went on a little rant there, but I hope you enjoyed the two examples of how we had just like a circumstance and then two different reactions to it. And one of them was low vibe, or to use the self-coaching model terms, it was the unintentional thought. And then we have high vibe, which was the intentional thought. So let me just take a moment to tell you a little bit about how law of attraction completely changed my life. So before learning about the law of attraction, yes, I had already kind of like manifested things. And the thing is, we're always manifesting. We're always creating a reality. But the thing is, are you doing it intentionally or unintentionally? And I think for a long time, I had been doing things a little bit unintentionally. So for example, I was working in tech, and I mean, I worked my way up. Like I had a good salary, I had a good position. The last company that I worked for was the best company. I loved my coworkers. And when I learned about law of attraction, work got so much better. Like I stopped stressing so much about work because I was able to change the way that I was thinking about work, because I was always like looking for fulfillment inside of work when I knew I didn't want to be there forever. And when I learned about law of attraction, I then was able to really like be clear on what I wanted and start to take action towards it, and then manage my thoughts at work. And that changed everything. Like I became unattached from work. And then that is when I already had my food blog, but that's when I started to post on TikTok. And I really just like let it be fun. Posting on TikTok allowed me to be in a high vibrational state. And of course, there was moments when I felt low vibrational, right? There was moments when like maybe something went viral and then somebody said something mean to me and that felt really crappy. But that was where the work was. The work was for me to recognize that I can't control what other people say or think about me, but I can control my creativity and my influence to like positively influence people with my message. I knew that I had a clear vision of helping and supporting people. I didn't realize at the moment it was going to turn into a business exactly, but once I got to, I think like 40,000 followers or 100,000 followers, which I don't even have that amount on Instagram. I was just on TikTok at a time when it was really blowing up and I was already creating content and I was there. So that's why I grew so quickly. But at that moment, I was like, maybe I could do a business out of this. Like maybe I can start some type of digital marketing business. But I really began to just like trust that what I was doing was serving people. And I felt really grateful for every follower. I felt grateful for every opportunity that I ended up getting with TikTok, because TikTok also gave me a lot of opportunity. But I wasn't like showing up at TikTok like, oh, I better make 100 grand by like the end of the year. Like I was trusting that everything was working out. And these are all key things for law of attraction, like really having a clear vision, feeling grateful for things, and even like learning from low vibe and then feeling grateful to like get yourself back up to high vibe. And then I was really surrendering to the outcome. Like, of course, I had a desire to leave tech, but I was like letting it happen. And I did both for a long time. I did both for like most of 2020, my tech job and TikTok and my business. And I really began to trust in the divine timing. While before, when I was in tech, I was always so frustrated, like, oh, when am I going to leave? When am I going to leave? But once I started implementing the law of attraction, everything worked out. Like I ended up having, I want to say I told myself, okay, if I make $20,000 my first year in business, then that's a success. I ended up making $40,000 in the first like few months of my business. And I was like mind blown. I couldn't believe that this was happening, but it was just because I surrendered to the outcome and I trusted in the timing. So to quickly recap, the law of attraction it states that similar things are drawn to similar things. So when you are feeling and acting positive, you're going to attract more positive things to you. When you are expecting and feeling really negative, you're going to attract negative things to you. But remember, it's okay to feel negative, but we have to learn the lesson from there and then we can move back up to positive. The law of attraction is always happening because it's kind of like gravity. So what I want to invite you to do is really take an active part in creating your reality by using the law of attraction. Life can either be happening to you. You can feel like you're being attacked by life, or it can be happening for you. You can be empowered by life, and you can recognize that even when things that don't feel ideal happen, you still have the power to react in the way that you choose. And that is like just giving you back so much power. It is really reclaiming your power. Law of attraction allows you to reclaim your power. And then you're able to manifest by being really clear about what you want, asking the universe for it. And then you're going to learn more about this inside of my webinar because I talk about it with my 4-step magnetic framework, which is be clear on what you want, take aligned action towards it, know that you're worthy of it, and then allow yourself to receive. A big part about law of attraction is allowing ourselves to receive. So many times we get opportunities or we even get compliments, and it's so difficult for us to receive. If we can allow ourselves to receive because we're naturally already such givers, then our life can completely change. It's almost like we're blocking our abundance when we don't allow ourselves to receive. And receiving can come from the universe. It could come in the form of other people. It could come in the form of an opportunity. I mean, it could come in so many different ways. So if this conversation resonated with you, it was a little nerdy, but definitely my jam. I think we're probably going to need to create a few more episodes about law of attraction because it's such a simple law, but there's so many pieces to it and so many nuances to it that we could literally create a whole podcast show about the law of attraction and never run out of things to talk about because there's numerous examples, right? Like, how do you use law of attraction in your business? How do you use law of attraction in your life? How do you use law of attraction for your love life? Like, there's so many things. Like, you can attract anything that you want by using the law of attraction. So I will stop talking. If you want to learn more about this, if this resonated with you, join us for the webinar and also join us for Magnetic Mastermind. As I mentioned, the spots are limited. We are going to be doing a month manifestation challenge where we are going to manifest as a group. I will be keeping the group pretty small and intimate. So if you know that this is something that is resonating with you, if you are a business owner and you want to work on really becoming more magnetic, on learning more about the law of attraction, then Magnetic Mastermind is going to be your jam. Again, the doors are opening on April 16th, right after the webinar, and they're closing on April 30th. So they're only open for a short period of time. If you have any questions, you can always feel free to message me on Instagram, or you can always message us at hi@theerikacruz.com. That's Erika with a K. All right, friends, this episode was so not scripted. I had very minimal notes written down, and I think we kind of flowed with it. So I was like, this is either going to be a really good episode or a horrible episode. So be sure to let me know if this resonated with you. Let me know if you want more of this style because law of attraction is my jam, y'all. And I really do feel like I'm at the season in my life where I'm ready to tap back into it because I was so into it in 2020 and obviously created an amazing business that has connected so many people and an amazing community. And I'm looking forward to see what we create in 2024. Okay, friends, have a great one. And I will talk to you in the next episode. Thank you so much for joining me this week. Make sure to visit theerikacruz.com. That's Erika with a K, where you can subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode. You can help this podcast grow by supporting me with an Apple Podcast rate and review. If you took anything away from this episode, I invite you to take a screenshot and share it on social media so that your favorite badass Latinas can also check it out. Be sure to tag me at the Erika Cruz. That's Erika with a K because you know I want to see it. If you're ready to join the revolution and be a part of the Courage Driven Latina community, visit couragedrivenlatina.com to get more information and join the waitlist. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.